Issue 136. We start off at Sonic's house with Tommy asking where Sonic is and being told that he's on a mission for the king. He asks immediately why Tails didn't come with him, and is told he has his finals in school today, so Sonic wanted him to stay and study. Tails then complains that he'd rather face 3 Robotniks than face the test, which is weird since, as a genius, he should just ace every test easily. Sonic then comes back home tired from running all night and wants to go to sleep right away, not even feeling like thanking his mother for breakfast because, as his father puts it, he'd rather go to sleep as fast as possible. Tails says that he doesn't want to be late for school as Miles is misspelled yet again, and then Adam tells Eggman somewhere that an infiltrator's in place and ready to strike. I was thinking this last issue, but Adam's like a male counterpart to Nicole for Eggman, which is pretty cool. I wonder why he didn't just give him another human android body like with Mecha. Did he get worried that he'd be destroyed by Sonic more easily? After Bernadette gets sad at instinctively offering her robot husband a plate of food, Jules thinks that Tommy is rude to not excuse himself from the room. Now, just socially awkward. What's really rude is him going to bother Sonic when he needs to sleep. Then it turns out that either this isn't really Tommy, but a robot duplicate of Tommy about to drill Sonic to death, or Tommy got roboticized. Either way, Jules attacks him and gets himself hurt. So after Sonic trashes the Tommy robot, Uncle Chuck has it be unnecessarily sad as he inexplicably says that he can't bring back the speck of life that made Jules a Robian, even though there's no reason he couldn't. This feels so arbitrary, just fix him already. Sonic, after shedding some tears, runs to the Lake of Rings and immediately heals Jules by wishing with the ring. So, wishing with the ring can bring anybody back from the dead? Okay, so if you're gonna immediately use a Deus Ex Machina like this, why not just have him be repaired by Chuck anyways? Then for some reason, Sonic comes to the conclusion that the destroyed Tommy robot model, being Season 17, proves that Tommy is still alive. How? In the next story, I'm confused and annoyed right away because Julie's talking to Sally over Skype instead of Linda, who was going to talk to her at the end of the previous issue. I was looking forward to that. Sally says that they have a problem looking worried, and Julie complains about her own problems with trying to figure out what to cook for everyone's particular taste for this weekend. Her servant complains about it more, with Julie informing the audience that her daughter is a picky eater with her diet, and Sally says that her son Manic doesn't seem to like anything he's given to eat. That's gotta suck. Julie says hyperbolically that fighting Eggman was easier than planning a simple get-together, naturally since that's not really something she's a natural at with her background. And then it's revealed how reluctant Sonic and Knuckles are to go to a high-class social function, as would be expected. Well, it's not logical for Sonic since he's a social butterfly. Then it's revealed that Sonic didn't become king right after the wedding, because Sally's father didn't step down from the throne the first 2 years they were married. And Sally then says that Sonic didn't mind because he'd have been happy had he given up the crown. And yet she still thought they made a great couple. He doesn't really accept Sally for who she is, a princess. Julie relates to her that Knuckles never really wanted to be a guardian either, and Sally complains that Manic naturally has zero interest in being a prince, like father like son, while more surprisingly, Sonia only sometimes loves being a princess, as in she only likes the parts where she gets to dress up and wear her crown. Naturally, Julie wishes she could get her tomboy daughter to do that more often, and when she's told her daughter is much like her when she was younger, Julie says that's what I'm afraid of. I can't help but like the fact that Sally and Julie become such close friends and they just have a casual conversation about stuff like this. It's like they become like best friends. But shouldn't they already know all of this by heart? Especially the Sonic took a while to become king thing. Isn't that basic conversation? Just an excuse for exposition, I guess. Then Julie gets a call from Linda, so I guess this is when it's supposed to happen from the previous issue. Sally says that she hasn't spoken to her since her visit a month ago. Why would she make a visit at all? Julie asks if Linda would agree to a 3-way call, and surprisingly told yes because she actually represents the council before the kingdom. That's not really a satisfying answer. I don't see why that explains anything. And what council? The Echidna government? Does Linda represent the Echidna government now? Sally says not to be so formal and prefers to be just called Sally even after all these years. What was that about? I guess we all grew up then? Clara Sue then shows up and is told that Manic has a crush on her even though he's too old for him. She's then really nervous to see Linda, not because she's a former villainess, but because she doesn't want her rival at school, Rutan, to hear about this. Because if her friends find out about that, she'll never hear the end of it. Fortunately, Landa plays a cool aunt and agrees to keep the secret. I gotta say, I kinda like this version of her. I mean, I guess redemption is too easy for her, but I don't know. I'm just glad it happened. Then it's explained that Lara's home early because lightning shorted out the power grid near the school, so there are no lights in the class. They all then discuss the crazy weather they've been having, wondering if Sally will be able to come and visit. Sally says she looks forward to seeing Landa again on the next visit to the kingdom, and the story ends with the chef obsessed with food, telling Lara to her displeasure that they'll be having escargot. Surprisingly, there's another story after this, taking place in the present, where Knuckles plans on taking back Angel Island. Good luck doing that with any powers. The narration explains that the island always travels by the highest peaks found on an island close to Down Under. Makes sense, the dingoes are from there and they live on the island. Knuckles reflects on how he should be here because the king asked him to wait until the proper time and resources could be allocated for such adventure, but Knuckles being the guardian is stubborn enough to try to liberate it anyways, by himself. Is this entire story just going to be boring narration? Knuckles thinks about how this might be the only time he'd be able to get onto the island without the power of flight because he can reach it from the peaks. Okay, so he can still climb any surface because he still has the spiked knuckles, that makes sense. Knuckles then seems to delude himself in his narration that his only motivation is to save his mom and make her proud, when he lists some other motivations that he has to have. Knuckles then wonders what kind of damage Eggman could have made to the island in all the time he's been there. Then out of nowhere, he decides to be patient instead and leave. And the story ends with Eggman telling a Shadow Swap bot controlled by Adam that Knuckles would have been killed if he had gone to the island. The first story was by Romy Chacon. It reveals that a huge amount of robot duplicates have been made of Tommy in particular. Why him? And how? He wasn't in the jewel mining camp. Did Eggman decide to make all of those right after he became one of the freedom fighters? Either way, the story doesn't have much happening other than Sonic having to wish his father back to life with the ring because Uncle Chuck arbitrarily can't fix him. Considering he was so exhausted the jewels need to save him, it's a testament to how worried Sonic was about his father that he still made himself do all the exertion anyways. The second story and third one were by Ken Penders. The second story was just exposition with nothing really happening, but I was at least pretty invested in the conversation that was going on with all of the information that was being given, including Sally confirming that Sonic, even 25 years later, would rather his true love not be a princess at all. I also like that Sally and Julie are such good friends now that they regularly chat together like that. It's heartwarming. But if that's the case, shouldn't they already know all of this? Why even discuss it? It's just an excuse to give the audience exposition on the characters. And the third story was just an excruciatingly boring and pointless one because it had almost nothing but narration making me feel detached from what's going on. And quite frankly, there wasn't enough material to make a whole story out of it. You could have had the whole story be 2 panels. Knuckles wants to save the island, but chooses to be patient anyways, and that's the right decision of his. It really didn't need to exist, and it would have been better if they just used that comic space for the second story.